G'day everyone, today I'm going to do my tutorial on wrapping a fish tank with sign writing vinyl. I'm going to take you through how to prepare it, how to wrap it and how to finish it in a professional way. The first thing I want you to do is not use glass cleaner. The reason that I use sign writing vinyl is because it applies really easily, really quickly, it's really cheap, and it doesn't make a huge mess when it comes time to take it off if you decide to change your mind. So here's the list of what you're going to need. Something for preparation and cleaning of the tank. I prefer isopropyl alcohol, the more pure the better. Your roll of vinyl, whatever you're going to use. I'm going to use gloss black vinyl for this tank. I have an air pressurized sprayer, and it makes a really nice atomized stream of water. 2 cloths, one for cleaning, one for drying and final clean. And it's your choice whether you want to use a razor blade or a safety blade or Stanley knife, whatever you want to call it, for the final trimming. Personally, I prefer to use these because I buy them in bulk and I have a lot around. You can use one of these for a good job as well. Just make sure it's got a fairly new blade on it. The first step is preparation. I use pure, or as close as you can get, pure isopropyl alcohol as you can. We need to take off any contaminants and any grease and grime and dust and fingerprints, all that kind of stuff first. Promise me that you will not use window cleaner. This stuff often contains silicons and other things that prevent really good adhesion of sign writing vinyl. Don't use this, and definitely when it's time in a minute, when I start spraying this down with the water, this is just tap water straight out of the tap. Don't put soap in it. Don't use soapy water. Don't use detergent. Detergent and soapy water can break down the adhesive in the vinyl, which actually sticks everything to your tank. We're just going to use plain old straight out of the tap water. To get started, I've picked the face that I'm going to use as the back of the tank. This side probably has a little bit wider smear of silicone on it because I do have a split tank here. I had it made this way. The front on the other side looks a lot better, so this is definitely going to suit me better to be the back of the tank. So let's get wrapping. The first thing I'm going to do is spray it down with this isopropyl alcohol. Then I'm going to use my dirtier cloth to give that a clean. Don't have long because isopropyl alcohol will flash off fairly quickly, but you can give it a good initial scrub, and you'll know when the fingerprints and everything are starting to go. That fingerprint was actually on the inside of the glass. Probably there from when they put the tank together. So now I'm going to take my dry, clean, super clean cloth and just go over, and I'm going to polish. Be really careful with the edges. You do not want to cut yourself on your glass. Be super careful anytime you're dealing with glass like this, and try not to touch it with your fingers, otherwise you're going to have to start all over again. I'm really happy now that I've finished cleaning this the best that I can. I'm not going to get any more off there, so it's time to start the prep work for the vinyl. This is a sprayer I picked up a while ago. It holds a litre of water in it. It's really good because it gives a nice fine mist. And when you're doing this, the finer the mist, the better. I'll actually hold it quite a fair way away, so I'm probably like 2 feet or half a metre away. And I'll just make it rain on there. And I'll do the entire surface. You don't have to be stingy with it, you can go as heavy as you like. Any excess water will come straight out, and I have forgotten one thing that's very important. This is a sign writing squeegee. I forgot to include it at the start of the video. We're going to use that to work all of the water out of underneath the vinyl once we get started. Let's get the vinyl on and I'll show you how to do that. I keep a lot of vinyl in stock at all times because I cut stickers myself. I'm going to cut this a little bit longer, so I'll have a bit of waste. You may not want to have so much, but I've just laid it out so that we know we've got enough. And the next step is I'll just zip that off, make sure we've got a nice big piece that's definitely going to overlap the entire surface. A lot of the good brands of sign writing vinyl, they actually have a grid on the back here, which is helpful to cut a straight line if you're like me and you've used your Stanley knife and not a pair of scissors. So the next step will be separating the adhesive part from the wax or backing paper on this vinyl. Once you've got a corner started, you can peel the rest back. I'm going to need both hands here, but the next step is I'll peel this backing paper completely off and then lay the entire sheet of sticky side down of the vinyl onto the glass. It's a bit of a challenge to do it solo. It looks horrible right now, but we'll fix that up as we go. Next part is squeegee out the water. With the buffer of water underneath, you can lift it up and kind of massage it a bit and pull it straight. It doesn't look great at the moment, but that's what the squeegee's for, and that's the next step. We're going to start from the middle, and I'll start going straight side to side, and you're kind of at an angle, not straight sideways, but off to an angle of about 15 to 20 degrees, and you just keep pushing until you get to the end. These are handy because they have felt, so they glide really nicely. So I'm going to start about here, and I'll give a good initial push, and water instantly starts coming out. And we're just going to keep pushing along at an angle, and it'll look horrible in this light, but trust me, the other side will look great. And you can already see that little bit that I've done, it's sitting down really nicely in there. And we're just going to keep doing that motion all the way to the end. And lots of water will start squirting out now, but I'll just keep chasing along the edge, and as best I can, you don't have to go too crazy. I'll just make sure I'm pushing down all the way to the edge to make sure I've released that water, because it will sit against the edge. You don't have to go too crazy. If you push down too hard, this will actually cut through. We're going to do that with either the Stanley knife or a razor blade, your choice, but just keep pushing it along. You'll find bits that resist you a lot on the edge. That doesn't matter, we'll get to that in a minute. But now when you get really close to other edges, you can turn around and you can start just working that all the way to the edge and working all that water out. It's all on the ground now. I'm just chasing some of the final little bubbles out here to the edge. Push down firm and go slow. It will go all the way out to the edge, and I'll just keep checking along all of the edges until I'm happy that I've got all of it done. And it should look like a mirror. Don't worry about those, we're not going to see that. Right, here's the part where you want to be super careful. Personally, I find I get better control out of these. So what I'm going to do is just cut in really carefully right at that edge. And now I've found the edge of the glass. Just watch out, because sometimes your tank might have a bit of silicone there. And I'm just going to follow that along that line right to the end. I'm going to start it again. So I get a little bit of a soaring motion there. Keep it held against the glass and just be really careful, because these things are sharp. We're on the home stretch now. It is best if you use two hands, because you can keep it tight in one direction, but I'm filming, so it makes it really hard. But at the end, we are done. And there it is. We've done one side, apart from a little bit of tidying up. That took all of probably 2 minutes to do that. A lot easier than paint, a lot cleaner. And later on, if you decide you don't like this colour, peel it off and change it. I've decided I'm going to do one of the ends because I don't want light spilling across from here. So I'll end up doing this side of the tank. Turn the tank up on its end. It's this side that I want to do. Decontaminate it, clean it, wet it, final on, squeegee. This is exactly the same process I've used on all of my other tanks, every single one of them. From past experience, the bit where you'll probably struggle a bit is where you're overlapping the vinyl onto the vinyl that you've just done. Go really easy when you're trimming along this edge here, otherwise you'll cut into the top edge of that vinyl along there. Just be really careful. Also, sometimes you'll see this, that's where the silicone is actually, the glass sits lower and the silicone is kind of outside of it, and there's absolutely nothing you can do with that. This will not stick to silicone. This was the excess of that entire sheet that I had left there. I don't think I could have made that any more perfectly sized for the final piece. I've done something a little bit different on this end now. You see it sitting up a little bit, that's normal just because of the silicone bead there, but I actually had an overlap of about 6 mil, and I've just wrapped that over the edge. Normally I would trim it, but sometimes I find that actually cuts into that top edge of this side, and it'll let light in around the corner, which looks pretty crap. We're done. 2 sides. You could do a third if you like. It's up to you. That was a fun solo lift. This thing's got to weigh like 50 or 60 kilos, and I somehow managed to get it up there. Wow, I'm so impressed. Look at this, look at this, look at this. Ignore the horizontal storage space. Never put horizontal storage space in your fish room ever, you'll regret it, because everything just ends up there. This is going to be the new Pleco tank. I have my common bristle noses in one side and my peppermints in the other. This tank here is about 250 litres all up, and the tank they're crammed into at the moment with both species is about 135 litres, so they'll actually end up with way more space each, be a lot less crowded. But that's the video for today. That's how you wrap a tank. Any questions, drop a comment, and I'd love it if you dropped a like as well on this video. And if you haven't already subscribed, subscribe to the channel. A lot more of this DIY stuff in my fish room as it grows. How awesome is this? I'll see you all in the next video.